Hi guys, and welcome back to RedStone Productions. We are in Berlin for Superbooth 2024. Lots of toys, lots of synthesizers to see inside, but we're also going to be focusing on the Pro Audio floor, so check it out. Hi guys, and welcome back to RedStone Productions. I'm together with Ruben from Elysia, and we have some brand new products I want to hear all about. So this is the Expector. What does this unit do?
Yeah, it's basically some kind of a headphone preamplifier, but it's really made for studios.
Okay.
There are many headphone amps out there, but it's more for high-end hearing system, including DA and DAC.
Yeah.
But this is really made for the studio, especially when you're working with the producer and the artist in the same room.
Right.
The people are using mostly the headphone amp from the audio interface, but sometimes it's not loud enough or not clear, the sound is not good.
Yeah.
And this is really some kind of a gap. There's a tool needed for this, and that's what they expected. So we have basically two outputs here.
Okay.
And one is dedicated for the engineer and one is dedicated for the artist.
That's clever.
And very special thing here is you can feed in two stereo mixers. So one's coming from the DAW as a playback, and one is the signal that you like to record. So because having a proper monitor level or signal for an artist, especially when it comes to vocals, is super important.
Crucial, it is.
Yeah, and it's always struggling if you go to a DAW, making the monitor there, you have latency, all that
Correct.
stuff. And the idea here is you have an external preamplifier, maybe some processing, then go first into that device and then go out, because there's some kind of a true out. So you go in and direct out. So
Okay,
you
can daisy chain it.
Yeah, daisy chain it. So
That's-
then you have two. Here's a mixer for DAW for your instrument, and then for the engineer, you have a mode select. So you can select between stereo, mono, side, left, and right, what you typically have on a monitor controller, but here's special from headphones. Then here's a trim control. This is for the headphone level, because headphones have different levels and sensitivities. You can adjust this. But as well, you can also put on a speaker pair. So you can toggle between headphone and speaker as well.
So it even also doubles down as a monitor controller for the speakers.
Yeah, so it's not a super advanced controller with many inputs, but I think many people have only maybe one pair of speakers, only one source. And on the artist side, we also included an equalizer here. So if the headphone for the artist maybe needs some more bass or less bass, that's here. And the amplifiers, so the whole device is complete discrete class R gear.
Okay.
So we have
Like all of your units.
So we have developed a complete new headphone amplifier, also discrete, and sounds superb. I would say the sounds that normally, the price one would be about, I don't know, 1,100 euros, something like this. But the quality we offer the double of the price because of the quality.
Okay, so what you're basically saying is that we can have two separate mixes, one for the engineer and one for the actual musician. And we also have the option of engaging some high shelf or low shelf if you want to make up for that mix for the artist itself. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, and also drum recording, you can give, let's say, the playback on one channel and on the other, the click, or maybe its own mix, drum mix.
Right.
And especially when it comes to vocal recording, then you can have a different level setup rather than the artist.
Of course.
Or you can put this direct to the artist. Next to him, he can adjust his own level settings.
Okay, that's really, really clever. Again, this is already available on the market, or is...
It's in, I think, August 24th. So.
Okay, so end of summer it should be out there, basically. And the street price point, can we say anything?
About 1,100.
1,100. Okay, that's very nice. And then if we look towards this side, there's some more units. We do have a beautiful Expressor at SA Amsterdam where I teach, and we have it in studio too. But I can see that there's the whole lineup of the 19 inches racks from Elysia. I'm also very interested about the envelope and the carrier. So can you please give us a global overview of these units?
Absolutely. So first we have the envelope. This is a transient shaper. May you know that I have developed the original trans design from SBL. So that's a foundation from the technology, but this is a complete new development. And what people requested for the former trans design was to use it on more mastering material. And that was a problem with the old one. So we have embedded here, or a new system, some kind of a multi-band system. So the attack only reacts to the high frequencies, and they sustain only to the low frequencies. And then you have some kind of mid-bands, which is also it's not processed. So you have a way better control over it. The detection is better. But you can also feed it into full range. So then it behaves more like the traditional transit designer. But as well, you can also switch it to an EQ. If you don't have any need in a situation for the transit shaping, you can use it as a very good shelving EQ. Sounds really amazing. I would say this is the best sounding transit shaper ever, because the difference between this hardware and software is really big. And if you know software transit shapers, sometimes it's not so nice and sounding. And here it's like very natural, very open in sound.
And this unit, you also say that it could be used on mastering duties as well?
For that reason, we have made a special version from the envelope mastering edition with a reduced gain range and different labeling here.
I think I heard about that from Bob Katz, isn't it? Yeah. Yes, that's very, very nice. Okay, and just below we have
the character. This is some kind of an overdrive distortion device, also made for studio and mastering grade applications, because the range is very wide, from very soft saturation to totally destroying something. So, but only with a few controls. This is my drive control. The color says how much bass is influenced in the distortion. So it's some kind of pre and post filter of the distortion. Then you can switch it to some, we name it fetch rate. It's some kind of a tube characteristic. And then you can do turbo boost. And so you have even more crazy distortion in it.
More harmonics, being generated.
Then you have a gain for that stage here, and a mix control for direct.
Which is very, very convenient. Okay, and it's a 2-channel, so it's a multi-mono unit.
But you can do a stereo link, so you have to only do one side for both channels. And even if you want, we have an embedded MS matrix. You can do mid and side processing on distortion.
That's very, very, very nice. Yeah. Are you selling these units to mixing engineers, to sound designer, all sort of people?
Yeah, so it's not a dedicated group. It's really for everybody who's looking for some kind of saturation and distortion tools in a high quality. Because in the hardware world, there's not so much going on that they can use in a high quality. You can use, let's say, guitar pedals for this, but it's not really the quality that you want to have.
You don't have so much control over it. Yeah, and indeed, having the shape and having the blend knob, it makes it very useful.
It's all Class A discrete.
It's all Class A. Let's repeat that. Okay, that's great. And then, of course, we have the most, the legacy products from you guys.
So the X filter is a stereo EQ. So with one control, we are doing both channels on low shelf, low mid, high shelf. Very easy. And you can have a selectable Q for these mid bands. You can narrow this. Then we have a passive massage, so some kind of a passive filter in the output stage, but with a little peak at 17K, so a little dip there. Sounds very nice. And yeah, also very good, usable for master buses, sub buses, in recording, for vocals, for nearly everything.
These units are extremely quiet, so they can be used on the way in and also on the master buses with no problems. That's really, really nice.
Yeah,
it says hit it? What is that?
Yeah, that's the active button.
All right, I love the way you guys put a bypass on it. It's like, hit it. That's great.
Then the Expressor Neo. So this is the upgrade version of the original Expressor, which is out since 2010. And we optimize it and done the amplifiers better, so the transient response is better, and the VCA gets an update, and also the power supplies. So the sound quality is really a step above.
It's an improved version of the original, and this is the Neo Expressor, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we have more low end, the stereo feels wider, the transient response better, and so people that already got the original Expressor and get this one, wow, this is some kind of improvement that you really want to achieve. Yeah, and this is some kind of a Swiss knife of compressor, I would say. It can be used on vocals, on drums, on master basses, on everything from very subtle settings to crazy stuff. So this is really, one of our best
sellers. Lots of things you can do. And I can see that if we look at the control, this is a stereo unit again.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got threshold attack release ratio.
Yeah. Warm mode, that's very nice. It's a filter after the compressor, so you round up the highs a little bit and give the low end a little boost.
Cool.
This is to change the lock. Release is to change the characteristic for the release. Auto fast is when having fast transients, attack is for a short moment very fast, but then goes back to the setting here.
Okay.
Sidechain filter, so it's a high pass in the sidechain to remove bass. Gain reduction limiter, something unique on our devices, because this is the amount of gain reduction. If you enable this, it stops here. So it's a limiter in the sidechain for the control voltage. So this is what many people love about that gear here.
That's good. It's kind of a safeguard.
Yeah.
So if something very loud comes in, you can still say, do not over compress that. It's a limit on the gain reduction.
Exact.
That's great.
Then my makeup gain. and at least a mix on board for parallel compression.
Which is very, very useful. And now I think every manufacturer should build into their hardware units more and more, so we can do parallel on the spot.
Maybe a little look here.
Yeah, of course, sure.
So basically, from these devices over here, we have 500 series, but also cubes. So cubes is a ready functional format like this one. So we combine it here, but basically you get this chassis here. It's in 500 series embedded, but with a complete ready chassis with connection on the backside with power supply. It's very interesting for people who like to start with outboard. And we have to want a table with 19-inch slots, or you go into 500 series, but then you have this rack with open slots. And so this is something that you can start with. Also, if you have not that much space, or for electronic musicians, for live stage, or for live engineers, put it everywhere. And here we have two devices which are not available in this 19-inch version. This is Sculpture 500.
Yes.
A very interesting preamp, I would say. Very open and clear, transparent mic pre, but has some unique features like the shape control. So you can blend in, so it's some kind of a mix control. You can blend in some kind of a little saturation and filtering. And this filter can be switched to different modes. So one mode is more some kind of a warm mode, and the other is more to have some kind of a boost in the high mids. So you can have directly can give some, say, vintage tone of coloration.
Yeah. Or some more crispy for articulations. Yeah, that's...
Then we have here a low cut. It's a 12 dB slope, very clean, very transparent, won't not affect the mids and highs, and a very simple but effective onboard compressor. One knob and doing up to 13 dB of gain reduction, but very good.
It's a fat base, VCA?
No, it's VCA base, yeah.
That's cool.
And one very nice thing about the Sculpture is the minimum gain is 2.5 dB. Many preamps start with 25 dB, maybe 30 dB. But when you have a snare drum, a very loud snare drum, then it's too much. So you have to engage a pad circuitry. That's the problem. You reduce at the input the level, and then have to do way more gain what you need. The nice thing here, it can handle line signals very well, a very good DI at front, phantom power as well. So it's some kind of a micro channel strip, I would say. It sounds very good on all kinds of signals, I would say. And people that check that out say, okay, you can. Normally it should be double the price because of the quality of that preamp.
Speaking of price, just to
it's about, I think, 850, something like this.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's really very good sounding, because one thing is very special here that not as so obviously. One critical thing in a preamp is to decouple phantom power. So you can use transformers for this or capacitors for this. But this influences the sounds, its components. And you want to reject a huge amount of DC to pass through a little bit of AC. So what we have done here, we have embedded our own phantom power with a part from the preamplifier running at 56 volts, a little bit higher than the phantom power is. And then we have made a direct connection from the microphone to a part of the preamp. And so it's super direct, super transparent, clear. So it's something that's, you have to check that out. It's really amazing preamp.
Yeah, I should definitely do that. That's crazy. And again, all of these 500 series units, of course, can be allocated in a normal 500 series, so the whatever generic. But you also have this
cube.
nice,
Yeah, this
nice
cube.
It's the cube, which is again both for. You can couple two mic pre's, for instance, or you can use it for the character, the envelope, or even the expector.
Yeah, the expector is not a 500 module. It looks similar, but he could not put out this because the back
of the extra connections.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay, cool. And then I think what we haven't gone through is still the compressor.
So in 2007, we came up with a big compressor, 2-inch use, and this is the 500 version of this. Very versatile. Yeah, small compressor can be used for vocals, for drums, for bass guitar, for everything, but also can do extreme stuff. So if you're looking for compression, doing pumping, greasing, extreme stuff, you can do it with the compressor. We have features like negative ratios for doing extreme compression. We can switch the release curve to an anti-lock. It's really pumping, greasing.
So you can get those room sounds bigger and bombastic. Okay.
And also a gain reduction limiter, like in the Expressor here.
This is a Swiss Army knife as well.
Very interesting for all kinds of single signals.
Okay, and it's also VCA style.
Yeah, our VCAs are done by ourselves, so it's not that we buy a chip
off the shelf, but you made it yourself.
We create our VCAs ourselves, and also all topologies, discrete, Class A gear here inside, and we do ourselves here.
Thank you so much for your time. It was my pleasure to stop by, and yeah, I'm gonna have to try some of these units for sure. Thank you. Cheers.